everybody, welcome back to this random journey. Today is day 26 of our book a week challenge, and it is starting the last week of this challenge. But I am not lacking for books, that's for sure. I just got another set of books from my friends. So I started reading this book. It's called Spiritual Gifts. I will not be going over what I'm learning in this book just because I have the Atomic Habits I'm still reading and going over with you guys, and these videos get a little bit lengthy whenever I start talking about each chapter, and because this is the last week, I don't want to really start this book, talking about this book with you guys and not be able to finish talking to you guys about it. So I'm just going to stick with the Atomic Habits, and then I'm also reading in my Bible. Curtis hit the camera. He's down here doing his schoolwork today. I'm also reading in my Bible. We are in 2nd Chronicles, just about, let's see, I just finished up chapter 15, I believe. So anyways, let's get talking about Atomic Habits by James Clear. I read chapters 15 and chapter 16 today. This book has been really good. If you've been following this channel and have been following this challenge, you know that I have been talking really highly of this book since I started reading it and encouraging you to read it for yourself. There's a lot of details that I don't go over in these videos that are in each and every book, so I encourage you to check them out for yourself. So chapter 15, the title was The Cardinal Rule of Behavior Change. I talked about how we are more likely to repeat a habit if it is satisfying. So this is the section we've just started for the 4th law, which is make it satisfying. There's I think 4 different laws or 5 different laws, I think, that we're going over in this book, and this is the 4th law, which is make it satisfying. And so it talked about our repeat, being able to repeat something is really based off of this principle of satisfaction. And there was a story of a gentleman named Stephen Luby. He went to Pakistan to help promote the concept with his team of washing their hands, of this community washing their hands, because they're so much impoverished, and just there was so much sickness and all this kind of stuff. They said if they would just wash their hands, they knew they needed to wash their hands. They could tell you that it was important, but they could not get the habit of doing that. Curtis keeps hitting this. Please try not to hit that, okay, babe? Please don't hit it. Do your school, though. Thank you. So anyways, he went with his team, and the only thing that they changed, they of course continue to promote the idea of washing hands, but most people already understood it was important. So the only thing they did was take this soap that lathered up really good and made it very satisfying to wash your hands, and they gave it out for free to all the people. And so, do your work. And so that's the only thing they changed. And so after a while, they left, and then they came back, I think it was 5 years later, and 95% of the people that they had given this soap to still had a hand washing station in their house and was using it. They talk about how just that simple concept of getting them something that lathered up really good and made an enjoyable experience in the moment, it made it very satisfying to do, was very important, and was, even though it was such a small thing, it was very important to making it a lasting habit. And then another thing they kind of related it to was chewing gum. Chewing gum was around a long time before it became really popular, but it had no flavor. It was just basically something you chewed on. It wasn't really enjoyable or satisfying to have in your mouth. And then this gentleman decided to add flavoring to it and make it colorful, and then it like took off, and everybody enjoyed it. They was satisfied when they were chewing it. They could correlate that with having a fresher, cleaner breath, and it was just a more enjoyable experience. The same thing with toothpaste, having that mint flavor or whatever flavor toothpaste. I know kids kind of like the flavor of bubble gum. for their toothpaste. So it's just having an enjoyable experience, and that gets it to where it's something that you look forward to doing or don't mind doing because it's satisfying. The next section in that same chapter was the mismatch between immediate and delayed rewards. So it was talking about how whenever back a long time ago, whenever we were more hunter-gatherer type, we had to kind of live in the moment, and every moment kind of counted in order to survive. Talked about that concept, but then it said, well, in today's society, we are more in a delayed return environment, and that means that we don't typically see the results from our behaviors or our habits right now and in this moment. It's usually compounded in down the road we see the reward or the not so good reward from the behaviors that we have. So he likened this to having consequences for the bad habits, such as smoking. In the moment, people are smoking because they're stressed and it's relieving stress, but that's a bad habit, and that cycle will lead them to sickness later on. And talked about how people know for a fact that it's going to make them sick later on, but it's they want it right now, which is the instant gratification of, this is what I want right now, this is what it's going to give me, and they can't look ahead to what they don't want. They don't want the illness, they don't want the sickness from what smoking can do to you, cancer, that kind of thing. They don't want all the negative side effects of it later on, and they know that, but they want the instant gratification of what it can do for them right now. And he likened that to a lot of different things in the book, but it's so true. Instant gratification gets a lot of us in trouble. I know me in particular, I like to have, food, and I'll go back for seconds even though I don't really need it, but it tasted good. So the instant gratification of, ooh, I got that yummy flavor in my mouth again, and then later that night I'm regretting it because my stomach is bloated and full. And so I regret what I did, but in the moment, it was the instant gratification that made me want that thing. And so he talked about how that can be very hard to overcome in today's society because it is an instant gratification kind of society. There was a quote out of the book: "The cost of your good habits are in the present. The cost of your bad habits are in the future." So basically, you're going to pay up front for your good habits. So it's going to be hard to want to do the good habits in the beginning, but later on it's going to be rewarding. Whereas with bad habits right now in the moment, it's rewarding, and then later on comes the consequences or the payment for that action. And so I thought that was a great little quote there. Moving on to the next section in this chapter, how to turn instant gratification to your advantage. It talked about reinforcement and how we can use reinforcement to take advantage of training ourselves to overcome this bad habits and to instill good habits, that kind of thing. So it said, the problem is you have to realize that it is immediate. So it is instant, it is what we want right now. And so you can't wait, 10 minutes for the reward after you have done something in a moment, because that's going to be too long. You need instant. You need, right now, I'm going to see a result from what I just did. And so he said, understand that it is an immediate reward that you need is the first step. He also likened it to habit stacking, which I think was in chapter 5. He talked about habit stacking and how this can actually play into this immediate reward, because it was, I'm going to do this habit, and then after I do this habit I don't really want to do, even though I need to do it, I'm going to do this other habit that I really want to do that I don't really need to do. And so this is the reward. This habit over here is the reward of the habit you're not really wanting to do but need to do, the good habit you're trying to instill. So he said that would be a way of reinforcing the habit and giving yourself an immediate reward for doing said habit. It says, ties your habit to an immediate reward, which makes it satisfying. So the whole point of all that is to make it satisfying. An example that he gave in his book was You don't want to, spend frugilously. Anyways, you don't want to spend a lot of money. My word ain't coming up to me. You don't want to spend a whole bunch of money. You want to try to save money. And so it said, if you're having trouble with that, do a reward system. Set up a savings account for something maybe you're wanting to purchase, or maybe you're wanting to go to the spa, or maybe you're wanting to buy a piece of clothing that you've been wanting for like a long time. So set up a savings account, and every time you pass on a purchase that you normally would have picked up and just bought on a whim, put that same amount of money into that savings account immediately, like in the moment while you're there. Get on your app, transfer the money. That way it's already, you can see it. It's rewarding. You see it immediately go, and you get to see the new balance, and it's a reward instantaneously towards the goal that you're wanting to get to, of not being crazy with your money, but also going towards, whatever the thing is that you're wanting to do. Basically, he said it's like creating a loyalty plan for yourself. Like, these companies have loyalty programs. You just do that for yourself, basically. And then there was one more quote in this chapter I want to share with you guys. It says, "The more a habit becomes a part of your life, the less you need outside encouragement to follow through. Incentives can start a habit. Identity sustains a habit." And that was chapter 15 in the Atomic Habits. Now we're going to talk about chapter 16, which is titled "How to Stick with Good Habits Every Day." And I'll be honest, my notes on this are super sporadic and crazy and all over the place. And so hopefully I can get them to make sense for you guys. There was a lot of detail in this chapter that was hard for me to articulate on my page as I was taking notes. So my page looks super crazy and all that. So one thing that really stuck out to me at the very beginning, he talked about something called the Paperclip Strategy. He talked about a guy who started it at a sales company, I believe it was, and he had a jar of 100 paper clips on his table, and beside it was an empty jar. Every time he'd make a phone call to a person who was like going to be a client, or attempting to get them to become a client, he would move a paperclip at the end of the call. And so his goal was 100 calls a day, and he was not going to stop until he got his 100 calls. And so every time he made a call, he would move it over. And he talked about how that's basically a form of a habit tracker. And so this whole chapter was based around habit tracking. And towards the end of the chapter, he actually talked about why he chose to keep habit tracking so far into the book, and how it can actually be kind of overwhelming for people to think about doing a habit tracker, because it's actually like trying to create two habits in one. You're trying to create a habit to put stuff into your habit tracker while trying to get a habit established. So some people, he said, might not find this effective, but it is a highly effective form of seeing and being satisfied by the progress you are making, and to be rewarding to see all of the progress you have made over time. So he talked about how to keep habits on your track. So the habit tracker, he talked about Benjamin Franklin, how Benjamin Franklin actually kept a habit tracker, and he would carry it around with him all day for his personal virtues. And some of his personal virtues, I have them written down here, is lose no time, be always employed in something useful, avoid trifling conversation, and he did at the end of every day, he would check off the things that he was able to accomplish, so that he could have his personal virtues taken care of every day. He had 13 of them. It says don't break the chain. So basically, don't allow yourself to stop tracking, because it's a way to be satisfied. It's an easy way to become satisfied and feel that reward sensation. It's talking about as long as you don't skip multiple days in a row, and it reiterated this later on in the book, that it's so important to, if you skip a day or you had a bad day, maybe you're sick or something and you're not able to go to the gym, then the next day don't miss the gym, even if you don't feel like it. Or if you can't make it to the gym because you're so sick you can't go to the gym, make sure you're doing something at home, even if it's, doing a few sit-ups or taking a walk or doing some push-ups. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it has to be something. It has to be something than being idle, because as soon as you stop, he said, one day it's not that big a deal, like if you miss one day, but when you miss two, then it is forming a bad habit already. And so I can actually relate to that with my getting up early situation. I was getting up early, I was doing so great, and then I had 1 week where I just kind of fell off the wagon, and now I'm struggling to get back on track. Have not got back on track yet. Still working towards that. So I'm probably gonna have to do some kind of form of a habit tracker. Seems to work out really well for me. You guys know I like checking things off little boxes, so this is right up my alley. So he talked about the benefits of habit tracking. Oh, he also talked about how it is an easy way to it simulates the easiness and the behavior of habits. So it talked about how it is the obvious, the attractive, and the satisfying. So it's multiple of the laws in one whenever you're doing a habit tracker. So that was the point that I was trying to make there. I have it doesn't make sense to me looking at it, but in my brain it sparks something. So that's how that is. Okay, so it has the benefits of habit trackers. There is 4 key benefits, I believe. There was 4. Nope, 3. 3 key habits. I thought there was 4 for some reason. Maybe I forgot to write a 4 up by one of these boxes. Benefit number 1 was habit tracking is obvious. No, it was only 3. It was the 3 I just told you guys. It's obvious. Builds virtual cues. We talked about how in order for a habit to stick, it needs to be obvious, because you need a cue to get the attractive part. You need that cue to get the next one going. You're more likely to do it again if there is a cue the next time. Benefit 2 is habit tracking is attractive. Proof of the hard work. So it talked about how you can tangibly see right in front of you, like if you're doing X's on a calendar, like this day I did it, this day I did it, this day I did it. You can see how many days in a row you've been working really hard. And so whenever you go to miss, you're like, well, I don't want to stop my streak. And it made me think about, now I don't use this app at all. I used it for a short stint, but I do not like this app and do not encourage anyone to use it. Snapchat has something called daily streaks, or it has like streak counter or something. And it's funny because people will literally just go on and send a picture to like a ton of people just to keep a streak going. I wish that we could use that kind of mentality to get some real things accomplished, other than just sending a random picture of, your shoes to 50 of your contacts. So anyways, it's kind of showing a proof of hard work. Benefit number 3 is the habit tracker is satisfying, and it's the most crucial, he said, benefit is that it makes it satisfying. And you guys know I like to check stuff off, so to me it's very satisfying to take a highlighter and cross something out. My kids, I've started having them use highlighters to cross off their schoolwork as they get it done, and my daughter has taken up a step further, and she has multiple color highlighters, so for each time she highlights it, she changes colors so it looks like a rainbow. So it's very satisfying to her to be able to check things off in that manner. Do your work, Curtis. Grab my checkbook. Oh, good. I'm so glad. He's almost done with school. Okay, and then it talked about how to recover quickly when your habits break down. Basically, this is where he was talking about do not miss. Just don't miss a day when you're supposed to do whatever the habit is. And if you do, get right back with it. Do it when you don't feel like it. Just keep pushing forward, keeping track, and moving on. And then he said there is appropriate times when to use a habit tracker and when not to use a habit tracker. He talked about if you're trying to do personal finances, for instance, you would not want to habit track for something that's going to go against that goal. And the same thing, so he said instead of doing something that would be financial, do something that would be like, you know, letting yourself go for a walk, or allowing yourself to go to get a massage, or something that would benefit yourself, and that kind of thing. Or he said if you're trying to lose weight, don't reward yourself with a bowl of ice cream. Instead, go get a massage, because you're going to be benefiting your body in a different way, but it's also going to be very satisfying and rewarding. I've personally never had a massage, but I've heard that they are very calming and very relaxing, so maybe that would be a good reward. I hope you guys like this video. I've really been enjoying this series so far. I've been learning a lot from the books that I have gotten. I'm hoping to be able to show you guys the stack of books, and maybe I'll throw up a picture of the books I just got from my friends. I'm very excited about delving into all of them as well. If you like this video, make sure to give me a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe for future videos. And if you guys wouldn't mind sharing this video or any other video that you have liked and gleaned something from or enjoyed, if you would share that to your friends, that would be really helpful for the channel, and I really appreciate it. So as always, we're doing daily vlogs, so I will see you again tomorrow.